you want to know what it is?
Banana! Yum, yum!
After this, there is no turning back.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
If you take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe.
Roger. Huh?
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh, excellent. We'll take this one.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hasta la vista, baby.
This time we got it right. This time we got it right. So cool.
Can't really can't really have it removed before flight flag. Have a crash at the end of our audio. That's kind of a bad idea.
Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Jim Jallery, your host, and Steve Glazier, your co-host. Welcome to our second edition of the podcast. Today we have two subjects that we're gonna touch. The first thing we're going to start is the erosion of privacy in a digital world, and we will touch a second term which is a very hot topic right now, what's happening in Europe, because most of institutions in Europe, for the sake of data protection today, put the law in front to rape the privacy. So we will go on to that. So we're going to start with today with everything. How is everything, Steve? Did you have a nice weekend? You had a nice week? Yeah. So
Yep. Clear outside?
Yeah. Summer is nearly finished, no?
Yeah, into fall. That's correct.
Yeah. Right here it's in DC is getting now it's getting cold, so everybody now starts to complain.
Yeah, it's getting warmer here, which is classic for us. It starts getting warmer, and then probably by the time we get to Halloween, it's probably going to be freezing. All the little kiddies are going to be in their coats covering up all of their costumes, but oh well, that's the bummer.
Oh yeah. So let's go directly into our subject, and off we go.
Read me back the last line.
Ooh, big Astoria!
Read me back the last line.
Not my last line, somebody else's.
This is a very complicated case.
Read me back the last line.
That's my last line again.
Keep it simple.
Oh, no, sir, that's my last line. I read it to you just a moment ago.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
You guys are nuts.
Yes, we are. So, Steve, you have we know all that we are incredible in terms of privacy. That's why we are building a company that will shift the whole industry.
Mm-hmm.
And we see from we remember back in the 80s and 90s when the cloud started to come up to today, we have seen an erosion of privacy due to technology and, of course, how the business model was created. You've been in Citrix with a lot about it. That's why we are in front of this. How did you see the erosion of the privacy, not only in terms of how we create technology, software, but too how hardware was made, and then how the whole business model shift to acquiring data and getting into the privacy of everyone?
So I think what I always noticed in the beginning, especially when it comes to the product meetings, because of all of the companies that I'd been at, thinking in terms of probably the first real startup was, as I said last time, is Frame Technology, and that was a tech pubs or it's for people who are creating documents. So there's not really a lot of sharing that's printed. So printed materials, and then we also provided an online view of things. But the printed materials, you could basically see that people are actually writing and printing everything. Its distribution is based on your distribution like? If you don't want something to go outside of your particular group, you don't publish, print, and ship to somebody. So privacy was pretty simple to control. You start moving out and start realizing what happened in a lot of the VCs here in the Valley was that they were trying to generate revenue off of air, right? It's etherware, in that you don't really have anything physical. You have things about people, and that they could target, especially for marketing, they could target to specific, total addressable market, or the TAM. So that's what they were looking to beef up, I guess is the best way to put it. After Frame, I went to a company, notable, who actually created a full text paging system. And AirNote was still private because pagers were private. So if you were sending a message, it's only private as so much as the one person's only going to read it unless you send that same page or text to another person. So that's not really an erosion yet, but you could sense where, oh, well, if somebody got into the tower, then they could find out, what you sent. Well, of course, but that requires almost an act of God. You have to be in law enforcement and have a reason before you're going to go in and look at somebody's text messages, or in this case, pages. So it wasn't really dark yet. It hadn't gotten dark. It started getting dark when ARR came around. And once you want to get into annual recurring revenue, you need to find a way to jack that up as fast as you can. And then I can just go into a litany of different companies where I worked, where that was the basis for quite a lot of the revenue that people were generating. And I think that's actually where the slippery slope really started. It wasn't getting onto your hard drive. It's what you were sharing while you were using things. So I'm using this particular product. I mean, this was still private. I mean, this old palm here, that one was still private. But
I will always, every time you show me the palm, my my baba goes like, oh, it was,
because at that point in time. Cool. Yeah, at that point in time, though, you're still staying on a closed network, I guess is the best way to put it, in the respect that it's who you put on the list. It's your distribution list. And I started with Tech Docs for that reason, because it's your distribution channel. Who are you going to print this material for? Who are you going to send this material to, and why? Like, do you know why you're doing it? Or you just, after a while, it got blended probably after 2000, which everybody thought, oh no, Y2K, blah, blah, blah. Well, what they didn't realize is Y2K snuck up in a different way. What happened was basically your privacy got Y2K'd because they started distributing things about you without you even knowing it. They were reselling it. They were using it to gain revenue. Whoever had the most or the beefiest list of attributes about an individual, and then could basically look at that data and then find ways to market into a segment. Just, it doesn't matter, right? This is amorphous, doesn't matter. You're going to pick a segment. That's when privacy disappeared. It's all about that. It has nothing to do with, now you're sending this stuff out yourself. You're going on social media and you're just telling everybody. Now that could kind of mess up ARR, but it doesn't, because they want you to be doing that, because once that viralness hits and things start moving really quickly, that's actually where you gave up your own privacy. We didn't have this problem. You remember, we didn't have this problem back in the 80s. You're older than me, but you couldn't. You're right. You couldn't have that.
But 17, 80s, 19, when we had to do social media, we just have to get down, call a couple of friends. Hey, at 9 o'clock at night, let's meet at this corner of the street. And we were going over there and having a really relation. And then with the friends and drinking.
Phones,
and then
Nokia
won the fault.
I was just going to say, it interrupted on your life because you had the phone with you. So now anybody, everyone's thinking, oh, this is making my life, more flexible. I'm more available. But yeah, you're so much more available. Now you have people talking about doing detox, like leaving their phone in like a whole other place. I know when my daughters went through school, the school that they were at from kindergarten on, you basically put your mobile device in a bin at the beginning. When you entered into the classroom, it had to go in a bin. All of them were off. And then you didn't get it back until you left at the end of the day. So there's some leeway for that, but it was, you weren't able to go on recess and grab your phone. That's not how this works, right? It's just everything is off. So you can't have your device out there. And that at least for those first 9 years was good for them. Once they get into high school, it all changes, right? But they weren't neophytes. I mean, they grew up with a nerd. I mean, I'm their dad. They're used to having technology around, iPods, Palms, cell phones. You know, they had mobile phones. They had them only for a reason, which was when they were at school and they needed to reach us, like to come get us, because anybody that grew up in the 70s and 80s, like I did, going to primary school and realized that it's impossible to get the office, sort of like the nurse or whoever, get somebody to call your parents, was like, that took an act of God. I mean, you're just lucky if you could get someone to call your parents. Now it's just completely different. Everybody knows where you are. They're following your phone. They're reaching out to you immediately. And if you come alive on one thing, if you don't have yourself hidden, which is next to impossible. I mean, we're doing it right now. You know, basically podcasting is sharing, your thoughts, but it was eroded by ourselves. We basically let them in. If you think of the Trojan horse, we let them in, closed the door, invited them out of the Trojan horse, and made them dinner. I mean, now they're like, well, anyway, I could go further on this one, but it's probably a bad idea. But anyway, I was just starting to get into how they basically take over your family. It's like, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a serf. So somehow you went from being in charge in the castle to being a serf inside your own castle. And that's what's happened to you. And people don't realize it.
They don't, and they give to a lot of convenience through technology. They sold a free service for data, so they market so well in a way that, I want to use this product. Okay, for free, use the application, but give me your email, give me this, give me that. And as they got the software inside of it, now all the updates at the back, you don't even feel it. So they work now on to it, getting inside of it. So as you say, you open the door and now, hey, it's they're entering your home whenever you want, bringing into it, and all the technology has turned back like this. One of nice example is the video games. Some video games are free to play, but you have to give everything into it. And when they started to do that, then the software came, the hardware came, microphones up, cameras always in, and because you have a phone always with you, it's basically you have a sniffer with you at all time. And before, we had a phone that press hello, repress it, off, the microphone was off completely.
You hope.
Now we've built camera into it.
It depends on where your phone was. Depends on which country your phone was made in. but yeah, or if somebody actually got into your house when you were out, at the store, and they came in and put bugs in your phone. That's just it, right? You would in the 80s, the 70s and 80s, you would never think of needing to do a technology sweep in your home, right? Because who's going to come in and listen to me? They don't care about me. Fast forward, now all of a sudden you've got a mobile device where maybe they just want to listen to find out, or maybe they just want to watch to see what it is you're searching or what it is you're buying, or et cetera. And the sickest part would be in tech, and it's they use the word convenience. But the problem is if you think it's convenient, you may as well just hand him your shirt and your wallet and the keys to your car, because it's not convenience anymore. It's you. You just gave yourself up. And a lot of that, I always go back to, I know when you're using on a Unix-based network or Linux, you're using, file share, but you're using LDAP. You're doing things, it's harder to do it. Then came, file share on Microsoft. And it was just I was like, oh my God, I am not doing that. I used to tell people, I am not installing that on my system. You can give me a work laptop, but I'm not turning it into my house. I won't turn it on. I'll use it when I get to work, and then I'll go into file share, but I'm not doing it from home, not across my own personal private network. And people thought I was sick. They thought I was just some sort of mutant. I'm like, no, why? You can check everything. I mean, sharing a file, I have to go to work and I'm going to share that in Excel, I'll just email it to somebody. I mean, that's not really safe, but the point is I could at least email it if I had to. If not, I would get into work, put it on a USB stick or whatever, or I'd burn a CD and I would give them that. I mean, that's the way I always worked. People thought I was crazy, but oh well. I mean, I just didn't want to be owned. And then you just keep fast forwarding, like go past file share, go to the cloud, which is Citrix and everyone else, then jump even further and go all the way to, oh, well, now Apple tells you don't have enough room to take a picture. Like, what? I have to go spend another $10 a month just to take a picture? Yeah, you're screwed. Like, you don't realize that's just Apple. You know who's been doing that forever has been Google. Like, oh, we'll give you like 15 gig free. Yeah, free. That's a word I never thought was true. Like, free, you're indexing everything I put in that file server. Like, seriously.
I never
like,
saw a business something free. If you have seen that in a business, they give you something free, really, it would be fun,
There's no free ride.
Hey.
There's
free
no
ride, free food. Go for it.
Yeah, free is not that kind of free. And it's sad because what people don't realize is even a file name is a dead giveaway, because people put a lot of information into the name of their file because they want to remember, okay, I created this file. It's a Word doc, Excel spreadsheet, doesn't matter, PDF file. You're creating a file. And you may not remember because you're going to end up, especially at work, with a directory, a folder full of files. And maybe you like to create folders within folders and then say, well, this one's about, the marketing plan. And then it's about TAM. And then it's about the technology to support the plan. And then, and you create little folders and there's files in there. But just think about it. Anybody that's indexing a file system can see it starts at the root directory and then chunk, 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 chunk. Just look at the URLs that are up in your browser and realize that is a file system. That's exactly how it all works. Nobody realizes it. They think, oh, I'm just going to go to this web page. Yes, some of them are buried and you won't see it. It's in the code. But that's actually what happened of the old version of the web. It was literally ///. It was all file systems because it was going to load a file, whatever that may be.
So you're touching a good point about files, because when you were talking about pictures and things like this, when you see how a picture file was done before with not information, but the pure aspect of the image. And now when every time you take a picture, you have your location, when, what time, where you were, which device it was taking it on.
Oh, now I'm going to ask you, do you know when that started? And do you know who started it?
Yes, that's where I wanted to go.
It's a long time ago, and it was by Nikon. So Nikon used to spend a lot of time helping photographers with EXIF data because they could then go in and find out, well, I wanted to understand what was the aperture setting. This is early stage digital cameras, right? But it was to help photographers so they could understand, I don't remember what setting I had. Well, that was because your stupid computer in your camera set the EXIF parameters, right? It put that stuff in there. Said, oh, I need this aperture. I need this f-stop, all whatever. All this stuff is happening outside of your control unless you overrode that. I think it was the D50 was one of the really good ones, the first Nikon D50. But you could also take pictures from your, because I had one of these. I had the Nikon Scan, and I had it set up on my PC, and that way I could take all of my film and run it through and scan those. It would scan them and turn them into digital images on my computer. But then once you started getting digital versions from digital devices, the EXIF data wasn't very good. It just kept getting better and better. And I'm using better in a loose phrase because it got worse and worse for all of us. That's basically where you started to eat into, oh, now I've got your latitude, longitude of where you took that picture. No, you don't need that data. Well, somebody needs that data. I would never go find it, except for somebody who understands what's in the EXIF pattern. Like if you know what's stored inside of that data file for that picture, there's a lot of stuff in there. So when you share that photo or you store that photo, that EXIF data is accessible because it's exactly like the file name. So you put kids party, beach, 1998, whatever, And if there's EXIF data, they can know, oh, I was wondering where that person was. Where were they? Go to the EXIF data. Here's your latitude, longitude. This is how long they were in that area, because I can look at all of the pictures and I can figure out how many pictures did they take. The start time is probably their first photo, end time of their experience. The end time is the last photo where I have the EXIF data and I check the data and see if they moved in latitude and longitude. You could basically re-step someone's trip to the beach just by reading the EXIF data. That's ridiculous. I just can't even, I could go on for hours. Like all the different things that happen to all of us that you don't realize it until you think for a minute. And everybody's like, oh, well, that makes it more convenient. For whom? Like, oh, did you need the latitude, longitude? No. Why? Like, you didn't need it. I mean, unless it's, oh, this is where I was today. Oh, there you go. Now you're sharing. It's convenient for me to share because now it says I was at Montara Beach in California. It's here outside the Bay Area. So why? Just type it in yourself. You could just say, I was at Montara Beach today. Why do you need it to then put a pin drop in a da-da-da-da-da-da? That's how deep it goes. And people just gave it all up. It's Trojan horse, close the door, feed them dinner, they steal your daughter. I mean, it's just going on and on and on. And they don't even put any money on the back of the dress or you're so screwed. It's just, they just don't see it. And that's why for me, my files are on my system that I have with me. And then I burn that off onto I used to burn it off on DVD. I'm using still, that's kind of old if I said it, but still that's kind of what I've done, right? I don't have it on a shared file system. It just doesn't happen.
And what is funny about it's they started to give option to have those options. You know, when you take a photo, do you want to remember where you are? So it started a teeny bit, like you were saying. It started a teeny bit, like, hey, do you want to have your location? Do you want to have this? Do you want to have that? And then suddenly they incorporate inside the file system and inside the whole software system of the pictures to include it now automatically. So now you don't have any choice into it. The pictures is a pure example of what it is, but we can go on, for example, with the music. Where you were talking about burning music. It was so great when we have to go to the Virgin store, get CDs, cassette, and own our own digital. Because when you buy, a lot of people think that going on Spotify or going in all those streaming platforms make them own their own music. No, correct. As you were saying. And they build a recurring revenue because at the back, you have a whole structure of business strategy to keep making money out of you. And
everybody wants that money.
The whole business shift onto that. So we don't build product anymore.
Well, and that's not, the sad part is it's not the RIAA per se. It is, they're getting a cut. But the point is the artist. So if I bought Joe Walsh's album way back when, I should have been able to, once we were able to copy and rip, I should have been able to put effectively just the UPC code or the barcode. I should be able to put that into a place and say, I've already paid for this music. So everything I download is free. It's mine. I just don't have a way to take it from my vinyl to digital. So just give me the digital version because I already bought the album. I paid for it. That's not, that to me is, I already bought it. So then I would spend a little extra money to figure out how I'm going to rip that off onto a DVD, meaning I could go in and, basically take the album.
So for those who don't know what is ripping, for those who don't know what is ripping, for those not very tech, burning and ripping DVDs, burning is recording music into a DVD and ripping is copying
the audio off the live. So if you, nobody has turntables. Okay, my daughters have turntables. They bought them. They like the old. And
we will have turntables.
The old school view was you had a turntable. You would put the platter on. You'd put your album on the platter. You'd have a really nice stylus, Audio Technica. You'd drop it in there, and you would start playing, and the output would go into something. I had TIAC reel to reel, the X1000R, and I would basically record 3 hours of my favorite music onto my reel-to-reel. And then later when I wanted to listen to rock or I wanted to listen to more sort of melodious kind of stuff, which would be like Pink Floyd, and that's rock, but it's more mellow or ethereal, or Alan Parsons Project. I'd have certain reel-to-reels that had certain kinds of music on them. I had my classical, I had like sort of easy listening. I had R&B. I had a whole bunch of different stuff because I just took my albums. I had hours to do it. And I just took my albums and converted those to one reel. And luckily, if anybody knows anything about the X1000R, it can go in reverse. So it'll get to the end and then it'll go in the opposite direction and play the other half of that whole reel. So I had hours of my music recorded. That's not something you can put in your car, beside the point. But it was nice at home because I could just run it, you know, in the living room, and then my roommate and I'd be, you know, doing whatever, making dinner or whatever you were doing, right, or studying for a test. So that you don't do anymore now. You're basically doing everything digital, which you're right. Then all of a sudden now, how much are they checking? How much are they doing? Because they're constantly seeing how many times you listen to it. I'm like, I don't want to expose that data. I'd prefer to put it on a dead system and have the file there. You know, I want the file, so I'll go take it off. I pretty much sold all my old vinyl. It's
That's why
I sold.
That's why we put it.
All my old vinyl.
That's why we.
I wish I had my vinyl now.
Your mini server. Yeah,
exactly.
That's why we put it on our mini server. That's gonna be cool because you're gonna have your MP3. We are going back. We have tons of things and functionality around the music that we will disclose later on, and all the functionality that we added into it. That's why we in the mini server, as we created, we added an MP3 player to listen your own music disconnected everywhere. Which we coming back was, you know, the cassette, the Walkman, the CDs, portable CD. There was the mini disc too that Sony brought it onto it, where
exactly
you have to know, consumers need to know that when you buy a piece of music, you own part of the copyright. It's not just before you were, each people that were buying the music were buying their own piece of the copyright. So you own this piece. Now that you do things illegal with it, it's your own problem. Then you will be illegal, doing all the things like sharing in internet and nobody.
Right.
But if you buy the music, it's yours, so you can do whatever you want. You want to take it out and put it in your sound system. You want to put it in a different format. You can do it. That's how one of the piece of this privacy and music has been taken out
sharing
too.
Files. When you get back to sharing files, not just media, but for software developers who are actually writing code, if they wrote it from scratch, if it was their creation, and they store that, where would they traditionally store it? The old days, it would be on a drive somewhere. It's on your machine. I mean, for me, it'd be on Sun Microsystems, or after, you know, even post where it's PCs and Linux. Still, you would actually have that in a local system. And then everybody goes, oh, but we need to have so-and-so in the other team in the other side of the building, or cube next to you. You know what I mean? You know, it's like you need to share with the rest of your team members. Well, where do you put that? Oh, I think I'll go put that up on, and then just name any of your particular ones that you like for keeping software control. And so now all of a sudden it's all getting put up there, and then all that got shoved onto the cloud. So now your code is on the cloud. So you're just kind of like, what the hell? You know, all of a sudden your stuff's not yours anymore. It's out there. And text files are text files. There's nothing you can do about it. Somebody can go in and hack into if you're using GitHub or whatever. I mean, somebody could go in and find out what you've got in there. They hack it, all your code's gone. And that's actually where we're getting into privacy again in a different way. Software developers create things, artists, music or video or whatever, they create things. Those are individual. And when you take someone's, let's say a track, music, one track, you take that track and you start distributing it on your own web server, as you said, that's illegal. That's somebody else's stuff that you can't just now all of a sudden distribute it for free, because that artist needs to get something back for what they created. And okay, the RIAA is bad enough as it is, but anyway, they kind of make me a little nervous too, because they're kind of wrong. But I mean, you know, when you think about the files, those different kinds of files they're out there, they're personal, but they need to get paid back for it. Or a writer, you know, writing an article, you know, you need to give attribution. To be fair, you should at least provide, that's what a bibliography was for. That's what your reference document was inside of any printed materials, et cetera, right? So that's actually what should be happening. And now it's not. People are just taking clips and sending it, and they don't realize that someone else spent their time creating that. And that was their own little private gift to you. You bought it from them or they gave it to you. And no one thinks about the other half of that, which I'd always thought about. And I'm going to draw it right back to Frame Technology and FrameMaker, was because on our team at the company, we had a whole bunch of tech writers, and they were really the input to the marketing and product teams because they're users. They are creating our manuals. And if they found something like horrible or impossible to use this feature, they would go in the meeting, this is ridiculous. No one's going to do this anyway. I mean, we would have conversations like that, but they're the best people to give that kind of input. It's always about technical writers, right? That for us was important to me. And then I started to write some of my own stuff. And when you start creating on your own, you don't want that to just get like thrown around the world without you getting any attribution or recognition for it was your thought or it was your idea. Boy,
and everybody wants recognition.
Steve, everybody wants. Yes, that's right. So all of a sudden you basically took 1984, the book, and stood it on its head. Like you're just giving it all away. Like, it's back to the castle and the Trojan horse, and you basically locked them inside with you and treat them like a friend. Give them a big hug. Like, I really don't want that. I mean, the largest thing you and I talked about, which we mentioned this in the first podcast, was that, when you start going, why am I constantly being like hounded to go buy more disk space? For what? What? If I find out I ran out of a little space, maybe I'll just go delete those 2 files, which gives me more room for this other stuff or whatever. I mean, you self-manage. This isn't self-management. This is, if you want the convenience, you got to pay. And you're like, oh, crap.
That's
and you're paying.
And we see, you remember
it's the invisible paying you don't realize. Your exit data. Oh, are you paying?
Because your wife has the same problem. My mom always has saying the same. She has her phone and she receives constantly emails, notification to do. Hey, why don't you get more space? Why don't you put this in the cloud? And why don't you put this in the server?
Photo? I just want to take a photo.
You want to take a picture. And you're there. You say, leave me alone.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not just for that, but even for the emails, everything. Text, all what you do now has converged from having you have the Palm one was everything in it, where you have all the information and you have it in it, to hey, we're gonna keep your data, no problem, leave everything alone. And now, as you say, they came back inside our house, the Trojan, and now there is no turning back because we have a monopolistic market.
Business. Yeah, and it started in the business world. That's really where this started to kind of take hold. So, and I think if you think in terms of road warriors, which is what we used to talk about, you and I were talking about in the beginning of all of this, was, the road warrior is the one that they convinced this is convenience, right? They said, oh, it's convenient now. You can be on an airplane and you can share a file and and you're like, yeah, right. But okay, it's only my work files. And then, you're showing your friends and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wish I had that. Well, you can. I mean, you can buy that thing, or you can use a Google Drive, or you could use, iCloud or whatever. And they're like, oh, I can? And then they get in there and they make it really easy to turn it on. So you turn it on and then all of a sudden they make it really difficult for you to actually get your stuff or put more stuff in that place. And once they make it more difficult, they charge you for the convenience of being able to store more stuff now. And you're like, what? This is my stuff. Like, I don't know. Why am I paying for this? ARR. That's why.
And the worst is that you have.
Did you have a gym membership?
Your account?
I never had a gym membership. Membership. Talk about an MLM. I never had one. Because once you get a gym membership, and you realize you're not going anymore because you only go for the first week or two, you can, but you forget to cancel it. So you're still paying $20 a month for something you're not even using. Oh, that's how they got you. And they learned that. That was a That was a key thing to learn way back when. Hey, let's make it hard for them to cancel too. That's even worse. But sorry. Yeah, I was like, I
It
never
looks
had
like
gym membership either.
Oh no, it likes like an horror movie or like The Rings. When you start to watch the disc, you have 7 days and you die. Well, it's the same.
Yep.
The day you start to say yes to the cloud, ask for a subscription. Yes, well, like for example, we know that what's happening with Netflix, you can describe it very quickly. But in the cloud aspect, try to disconnect your cloud in Google Cloud. You have no buttons that say straight away, I can disconnect, get out of my account and close everything
don't
else.
even know.
It's
Try
impossible.
turning it off.
Samsung is the worst. I have my girlfriend was, I'm receiving this through my Samsung. And I look at her and say, have you signed the Samsung account? Yes. And how do I delete that? You can't. I say you can't. You screw. You put AI. This will be another discussion where we will discuss
TV,
more profound.
And it's your dishwasher, and it's your oven, it's your microwave. But it's really convenient. My microwave's on my Wi-Fi. Like, why? How is that convenient? Aren't you still standing in the kitchen? Go stop the microwave. Why are you on your phone and you're standing right next to it and you're using your phone to turn off your microwave? Because it's convenient.
And the iRobot that scan all the rooms, do the pictures and so on, just because. For what? What do you need a robot that scans your room and connect it to your cloud? Why do you need? And we don't.
No, I swear the CIA created the Roomba. The Roomba is the problem. You think that thing's sweeping your floors at all? I got news for you. That's not sweeping your floors. It's sweeping your electronics, and it's sweeping your conversations, and it's sweeping everything outside your life. No, that's just a conspiracy theory.
And we don't talk about business,
Yeah, I know.
Because imagine we're talking really as terms of a consumer aspect, but imagine all the business, your salary. We will get later on, we will have a chapter where we talk about legislation about cloud, the contract that make you sign. We'll go into it. But all what you do, not only in your private aspect, but too in your business life, small businesses saying, your account, don't have it in your servers. Give it to us. We will show you. But even at the business level, this has gone really off the rail when we have people, and we will discuss, because as we grow the company and we were speaking about the structure of the office and so on, we'll give you a bit more news when we'll show you how we structure the company. But we are a company that we don't sell cloud, we sell privacy, and we're building something great. But at the same time, in the company, there is no cloud. We don't use all that. What we apply to it, we do it. And we just talk about software, but then we will go deeply into the hardware, which it sucks, because processors, RAM, memories, microphone, cameras. Why in my laptop I can't disconnect my camera by itself? Why do I need to put a little post-it? My brother, he cut a post-it and stick it into the camera. Why do I need to have always all that information that goes into the cloud?
I had the same.
Everything has to be shifted, and you did.
Covers my camera. Always covering
my brother
camera.
Has the same. He's like,
can't stop the microphone, but at least I can cover the camera. Yeah.
So
I was raised on eat your own dog food. So if I'm going to work at a company and make a product, I'm using it, and that helps you understand what the product's all about as you're making it, or as you're supporting it, or you're selling it, or you're marketing it. I mean, if you use it, then you're better at being able to communicate how it works. But there's a lot of places where I didn't want to work because I really didn't want to eat that dog food. I really didn't think that was a good idea. So I really didn't want to work there. Resistance was not futile. My resistance was strong. I was not going to go work at, just pick one. It doesn't matter, but I didn't want to work there. So, and I mean, that right there, I worked on the SR-71. There's still stuff that I won't talk about, but see, that's my personal choice. That's me protecting the information that I was shown or I had experienced, or the stuff that I was involved in, whether it's a mission or not, it doesn't matter. The profile. And it wasn't that I was taught it. I actually appreciated it when I was there. I understood it Because once you understand what happens the minute you can talk about the smallest thing, the reason why they call things specially compartmented, why it's very specific in certain parts of top secret work, is because you would have to put a bunch of people together because they're all in compartments. You'd have to really amass the whole thing to then be able to understand, let's just say, a mission at a simple or even an individual action or whatever it might be. You've really got to do some work. Well, I wasn't going to be the one. I didn't want to be the one guy that said the one stupid thing in a bar that was that one piece that helped the rest of that puzzle get put together. I will grant that there were probably people I was hanging out with weren't paying that much attention, but oh well, that's just who I am. And so for me, this eat your own dog food is that. It's the idea of security and your personal security, your personal information. And what I share. I can share quite a bit. I'm on LinkedIn, which is not really LinkedIn anymore. It's Microsoft's tool of screwing the user.
By the way,
I'm still on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but by the way, little parenthesis, if you're on LinkedIn and they ask you to have your document verified with your passport, do not do it. So do not do it. Absolutely not. Keep it like this. They're just trying to know. They just want your passport to be uploaded, and it's going to be in servers. It's going to be used. And of course, never forget, there is no servers today in the world, any corporate that has it, cloud, that is not hacked or used or sold or use everything that you put it in. So do not do it. Go for it, Steve.
I totally agree. No, I mean, there's just not enough people that think that way. But for me, my first job was that. And when you're doing stuff in the Air Force, 1981 to 87, the Cold War was going on. And it was really it was that key point at the inflection point before the wall came down in 89. That was the pressure that was being applied. And so a lot of the stuff I worked on was very specific in applying that pressure. And those sorts of activities, I didn't need to talk about them. It's kind of stressful not being able to talk about it because there are certain things that, people hold inside, but that was my choice to hold that stuff inside on purpose. Sure, I could try to talk about it, but what's the point now? It's like 50 years ago. I mean, what's the point? Like 40 years ago.
So one day you will tell it, it's always one day. But one day
those are
you'll
very
be
personal. Yeah, they're personal stories. Do you know what I mean? They're things that those wouldn't mean anything to anyone right now. They'd have to be an old fart like me. They'd have to have been around to understand what those things were. Nowadays, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's still going on. So, I mean, I wrote I used to have a blog, and I wrote about generational warfare, just because to me it's interesting to see how far it goes. And I was claiming, when was it? 12 years ago? It might have been 15 years ago, that we were already at the 5th generation of warfare, which people are saying, oh, now we're 5th, 6th generation. No, you guys don't realize, like, the SR-71 was way generations beyond. And that's
yeah.
60. So, and even the F-5, right there, just an amazing aircraft with not a lot of wing surface. So the lift surface isn't the greatest on an F-5, but it was easier to pilot if you lose an engine than the F-4, which was called the Flying Rock. That thing was dangerous, man. Because it had no wing surface. Like, it was not very this wasn't really an airplane. And the F-117 was probably the last one to have that kind of problem, where it was all like, it was fly by computer, really.
So most of what we've been talking is a lot of on terms of software. We are turning back more on the hardware aspect. We see really a shift into hardware. What do you think the hardware shift into totally stop really focusing into performance of powerful computing to analyze everything into a hardware? Because we talk about software and cloud with a product, but there is not a round discussion of what now do the hardware is impacting privacy. Apple has created the A1, the A2, the A3 chipset, and then going on. But those elements that are today adding in our hardware components are a major a major pinpoint of the privacy that has turned right now into everything you type,
everything now you treat into it, even if you have a VPN, a proxy, and everything, you already today identify in terms of hardware. When you put your handprint into sensors into a computer, it goes directly into the hardware. So you already being tracked at the hardware level. You can do whatever you want, have a different proxy, put a different modem, do whatever you want. You already fix into that. When do you think we really shift the hardware to be able to get into that? And then we will talk about AI, because AI, it will get worse. We will have another discussion, but the hardware has been a major component into that.
This is your problem.
This is the biggest problem. You remember we were talking about Wi-Fi and Bluetooth in the same chipset?
This, life was simple. This, you're screwed. Because you're carrying around a mic and a camera and a GPS system that just keep going. Why?
Sensors.
It's convenience. So you just keep carrying all this stuff around. Yeah, it knows exactly where you are, knows your physical orientation, because it can tell if you're lying down, it can tell if you're standing up, it can tell if you're walking, it can tell if you're sitting. All that stuff's easy to figure out. It's the castle again. I'm just going to keep going there. I mean, you're basically getting
that's the point.
It kept getting to be a slippery slope. But in the past, you used to have to tell the other person something. I had to get Bluetooth and connect to you. So I was sitting there with these two devices during our operational test, and I'm basically saying, okay, now I want you to pass that file via Bluetooth from here to here. That I had to do that. It just didn't do it for me. I literally had to go say, okay, time to do Bluetooth transfer. So I'm going to open up the file transfer on both devices, and then I would go off and move files. The minute they made it convenient for you to share files, again, I'm going to keep using that word. It's convenience. You've seceded all of your control. You're toast. I mean, you gave it up. So it's
all about convenience.
That's when it really started. It's the iPod, not really. That was just convenience and being able to view or listen, but it's still getting there, right? Because it's insidious. It's the little things that you don't pay attention to that become the bigger things really fast. It's really fast. So for me, I just think any kind of hardware, microwave on my Wi-Fi, you know what I mean? My refrigerator, we just bought a new refrigerator. I'm like, screw that. I'm not putting it on a network. But then your Samsung TV, I have to have my Samsung profile if I want to, anyway, that's where you're screwed, right? Your TV has to have a profile and a login. So I use a throwaway, use a throwaway Google, Gmail account. There's stuff where I have brand new Gmail accounts for certain things, because I don't want anybody tracking me. You can go track that thing, but I'm not using it. It's so independent. It's compartmentalized though. I have different things are on different accounts. You'd have to know all of my accounts and be able to get into all of my accounts to be able to then assemble what it is that I was doing. I'm not afraid of anybody. And I do not use biometrics. I do not use face recognition to unlock my phone. I don't use my thumbprint or my fingerprint or none of that. No retinal scanning for me. Does anybody watch? Why? Nobody watches sci-fi anymore. Anyway, I'm not doing that, because what do they do? They're just going to pop your eye out. They'll pop your eye out and open the door. Well, it's going to check blood flow. You can fake that. It's just a sensor. I can fake it. This. How stupid are these people? Anyway, I don't do it, and I don't have to care. There's a reason. All of my fingerprints are already on file in the U.S. government because I worked on that airplane right there. So you work in the military, you join the military, you sign on the dotted line. Nothing is private to them, which I have no problem with. I get it. It's, you can talk about government all you want, not you, but en français vous. People can talk about the government the way they want, but if you sign up, you're property of U.S. government, not from that point till the day you separate, from that point until you die, and even past that anyway. But it's like they already have my data. I'm not afraid of them, and I'm not, that's not it. I don't want people using it to sell it. Yeah, I don't want them to use that to gain access to something. I'd always kid it around with Cheryl, just going, I'm not doing 23andMe. What just happened? 23andMe, where are they now? Selling your data. Well, as we used to say in the Air Force, fucking A Tweety, you're screwed now. That's like all your DNA is out there, you boneheads. Like it already was. Now, I know I've been giving blood tests forever. I get it. They can go collect it there, but I'm not freely giving it. Yeah, no, but I'm not freely giving it.
You're working for a government that protects the major technology for not being given to...
I don't believe that they protect it either. That's not it. It's not a matter of them protecting that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to freely give it.
Yeah.
The only group I freely gave that to was the U.S. Air Force when I signed up. That was it, because I kind of knew what I was going to get into. So they're going to do the background checks, especially after I got out of my initial training and electronics training and navigation systems training and all the other stuff I had to take. I mean, that was 10 and a half months long of training. And that's not including the stupid basic training. That's not it. That's just my tech training was 10 and a half months long. By the time I got out, my first duty station, it was like 2 years in. I'd already been in for 2 years, and I finally got to my first duty station to do my job. I mean, that's how long it took for me to get through. I kind of knew the writing on the wall. I knew they knew me. They knew what I was up to. They tracked me on my weekends when I lived in Germany. I was in Frankfurt. I lived outside because the Air Force base there is Rhein-Main. Ramstein is the only one that's there now. But before that, it was Rhein-Main, Ramstein,
by the way.
all the different, Ramstein. So there's all those little bases there. What I did was in support of USAFE and the Air Force Special Operations Command. I already knew they were checking my background, because there was no way I would have been able to help out that particular part of the Air Force unless you had a solid background and you weren't a talker. You weren't a chatter. I talk effusively. People tell me to shut up, but I don't talk about that stuff. That's my job. That has nothing to do with who I am and what I do and what I like. That I'll keep talking about all day long. But that stuff, well, I'll talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. And it's because to me, it's like I was telling you earlier today. I was like, I know last time you were trying to ask me about my Air Force stuff and to talk about it, but to me, it's boasting. And I know you don't think of it that way. No one else should. But that's the way I feel inside of me. I don't boast. Like, I know what I did. I just talked to somebody. And I had said, I have a new doctor, a primary care physician, and I was talking to her, and I basically said, of all of the stuff I have right now, physical problems that I have from my duty, my service time, all the stuff that I'm putting up with, that to me, if I woke up tomorrow morning and my bag was at the end of my bed, I'm just out of high school. I actually enlisted when I was a junior in high school, but if I woke up tomorrow morning and my bag was at the end of my bed, basically this was all a dream, but I could live it exactly the same way, fucking A, I would pick up my bag and run to the bus stop and get on that big bus and go to Fresno and go through MEPS and get myself in. Because I know what I got to see. I know where I am today. I know what I've done. I know all the things that I got to do, getting sent to Germany, being able to drive my car from Frankfurt up to Luxembourg, Luxembourg through Strasbourg, Strasbourg to Bern, Bern up to Nuremberg and back home. Like, I just took a 3-day weekend, and that's what I did. I drove my car that whole loop just for fun by myself. I could go wherever I wanted. I drove my car from Frankfurt through Helmstedt into Berlin to see Berlin when the wall was still up. I just wanted to see it. The Netherlands, I'd been down into Italy. I'd done some temporary duties in some places, NATO forces stuff, which happens in England every year called Flintlock. I'd done a lot of different things. I'd do it again. Like, even though I know I have internal injuries from stuff, it doesn't matter. I'd still do it. Like, that's certain people are just wired that way, I guess, maybe is where I'm going. But I don't need to talk about it. I'll talk about it. But I usually talk about it one-on-one because you know that.
Oh, yeah.
You know a lot of the stories.
we love chatting together, and as we say in French, we like to remake the world. That's why we wanted really to have a long discussion about how privacy has been destroyed for different terms, and Steve's background. That's what
it's
make our company more exceptional. Because we really know about it. You need to know us because we're really people that knows about what is privacy and how privacy has been shifted, has been forgotten, not only by businesses, but two, by all the technology, how we make technology, how we build software, how we build hardware, how we want to make today technology. Before, we had technology that, as Steve shown to everyone, Palm and all the communication, we were having product secure, making people private. Today, the whole model shifting has absolutely one brought the privacy and put it away. So there is absolutely no privacy in it. And our second term, we will go on. And two, because of the recurring revenue of this industry created, and we never forget that we are in a monopolistic market. We will talk about the phone, the brick phone, where we were discussing about the brick, the copper wires. Now we pass on to VOP, blah, 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 and so on. We have lost what was technology built long time ago to sacrifice privacy and see what are you doing, where you go, who you with, to do that and sell all that together. So we're going to go into our next subject, which it's great because we were talking about that. So let's go to our next subject.
But you know the funniest thing about Europe is?
What?
It's the little differences. I mean, they got the same shit over there that they got here, but it's just there, it's a little different.
Example.
All right, well, you can walk into a movie theater in Amsterdam and buy a beer. And I don't mean just like a little paper cup. I'm talking about a glass of beer.
Another orphan of a bankrupt culture who thinks he's John Wayne, Rambo, Marshall Dillon.
And in Paris, you can buy beer in McDonald's. And you know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mac.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
So we will go into the next subject. Our next subject will be the institution in Europe for the sake of data privacy and data protection. They've created laws to get into your corporation for the sake of privacy. And they have been today. There is a very hot subject into chat control, Proton email, and what we see is some companies like Microsoft get into a government layer and selling their own data for data sovereignty, and a lot of institutions are saying, what? Now you're getting everything into it? We will get into that right now. We were talking about you were talking about the different institutions in government. And what we are really seeing today, it's in Europe, a major, let's say, shift, or more the end of the privacy to the people, where we see surely a lot of people seeing in Instagram and social media what's happening in the UK, where people post stuff into social media, and suddenly the police come. And one of the most discussion right now is about chat control in Europe. So for those people who don't know what's happening in Europe, is chat control in Europe. It's getting more and more. The Europe has built a whole law around the data center, that now anybody that posts right into WhatsApp, any types of chats, they will be tracked, listed, and there is a mass surveillance where the police or any government can come at your house or see you, and you can go to jail. This is today, this is disgusting, because your privacy is ended. We were thinking that cloud was something. We were thinking that hardware was something, but now it's getting worse and worse. Where there is no more technology that being private. Nobody wants to be private. Well, nobody. It's those institutions that don't want you to be private. They want to know everything about you. We come back to what we were saying, And chat control has took a major importance into legislation. That's why in Europe, a lot of different organizations are right now fighting for that. So when you see a technology or a corporation like Google, Apple, Facebook, Instagram, to name those ones, and the list is very, very long, where they tell you that their message is encrypted, everything is private, blah, 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 and so on. This is bullshit. How can those institutions come in your WhatsApp email or WhatsApp text, or you're sending text? That's not the real truth. There's no more encryption. Everything is listed to it. Steve, you see it today. Did you heard about those stuff?
No, I've been tracking this, but what's funny is I can go right back to the same day I signed on the dotted line that you are only allowed to speak about things that are how do I put this? I was trying to think because not everyone would understand the classifications, but we used to have things that are business documents and things like that when I was in the private sector. And yet I never shared any of those documents unless I knew it was one-on-one and it was inside the same ecosystem. I just didn't share documents that were important to the company. But that I learned when I was in the Air Force. It's just, you just don't talk about stuff. You don't need to. Like, unless, I always thought of it is the person that I'm speaking with, do they have the need to know? If not, no point talking about it. And so normally those kind of conversations about that sort of stuff would be between people who were in a shop or a functional area that needed to know something about what I had, but they had to have the need to know and they had to be cleared. But I treated that even with stupid training documents. Like I just didn't walk around with those or share them. And it turns out, because when I was in Germany, I learned that the first way that they would get you is they would convince you to share a phone extension for a base phone line. So like most people think of phones, especially if you're here in the US or you're in any country, but most of the phones are line to line. So you know that one set of numbers goes to this one phone line. Now that doesn't mean it's private. I'm just saying that's how it works. And so the same thing was true then, was like, you don't just start sharing unless you really know who it is. What's happened with these systems is you have no clue what's going on. So I just don't talk about anything. I mean, it's like, why would I bring that up? I have no need to talk about that, especially on social media. I'm still a little careful about what I say. So I guess I'm probably an outlier. Most people will talk about anything. Like if you're going to take pictures of your food, and share that on social media, you're probably willing to talk about anything. And I'm not being derisive. I'm not picking on people. I'm just saying you probably are okay with it. I, on the other hand, am not, for myself or my family, right? I don't want that to go out there. And I think that what's happening in Europe is a bellwether. People need to understand that the minute you shared that stuff, you shared it. They didn't come in and get it. If you didn't type it and you didn't send it, then you didn't share it. But you typed it and you sent it, you shared it. That's your choice. And if you want to keep something private, don't share it. The idea of sharing is public. The idea of not sharing is private. So which way do you want it? Your systems can be as private as you want them to be. I think we were talking in the last episode, our last podcast was about how I remember trying to create a system that's supposed to be, a lockdown system, and yet you want to hook WhatsApp into it. Like, what are you kidding? That's an open pipe. That's not even like trying to take a secure email server and connect it. Like you and I were talking about Proton or it's not really private, neither is Signal. But the point is that it's more private than WhatsApp. Seriously, like, what are you kidding? Just, run around with no clothes on, you idiot. You're sharing everything. Like, it's out there. And those apps, you also don't know whether or not those apps on the hardware with which you've installed it is accessing your phone, your GPS, your camera, your keyboard, doing, we used to have, you always knew that keyboard tracking was happening, right? So,
oh yeah, it is.
It's now you're on a digital device which doesn't even have a physical wire connected to it like a keyboard does. So once you're going electronic, you're wide open. Like anybody can check that. Yes, you can track key clicks, but you're not always sure unless you have exactly the idea. Not every key on your keyboard has a particular sound to it. It's almost the same functional hardware underneath. It's how you hook it up. Like, where is that? It's the H key, so that's going this way in the hardware map. The L key is going this way in the hardware map. When you're digital, it says it's in this position, and that's the thing that was tapped. Now, it's really great if you want to replay it for testing because you don't require any hardware like things pushing buttons. You just tell it you give it the electronic signal, and it says you hit the H key. It has no concept of the fact that there's a physical key there, but you can tell it. You could in the old days too. It was usually signal related, I guess is the best way to put it, for some of the smarter kind of stuff. That's even going way past old typewriter style crap. But anyway, there was a way to tell. Now with the hardware, you have no idea because everything's in the software layer. There's a very limited amount of stuff in the hardware and device abstraction layers. So unless you want to live in that world and make it physical, you need to make a choice. Like, do you want your radio always on? Well, you don't really get a chance to turn it off. You don't. It's a software on off. It's not a hardware on off. So if you want to be dark, if you want to go dark on your device, meaning you want to get offline and you don't want to get any email or notifications because you're hanging out at a dinner or whatever. Like we were just talking and I ended up getting a call and a text. And so I picked the devices up off of my desk that were vibrating because it's just going to transmit right through so it's going to interrupt our conversation. But the point was I had to get it off of there because it was meh, meh. I don't like it vibrating through the microphone. You're not going to understand what the message was. You just know I got one. Well, that's as private as you can get. And I picked them up. So now you don't know if it's going to happen again because you'll never hear it. That is a choice. And you can choose to remain private and dark and quiet, or you could accept the convenience that they sold you for being able to share willy-nilly at any time you want. The moment you've had far too many beers or a couple of cocktails deep and you decide to post some dumbass message you just did, but you're sharing. So it's not, people can't be mad about it. You shared it. Don't share it.
There is one of the things that we were discussing, I see here on the flight chat control.
I think I said something. I think I said common sense. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's what sharing is all about.
Yeah. And one thing we haven't talked about, and that's here I just see it here. It says ineffective child protection. The privacy and the tech industry that we've been with, what is happening in Europe, and people really need to wake up. Stopping that is that parents gonna have their child. It's already done. It's already monetized, and they know everything. But here, they're gonna go. Your institution is gonna see what your child is doing, and they're gonna have access to everything. You as
well,
parents,
just remember, it's not even the government. No, it's not even the government. No. It's Samsung. It already started there. Oh, yeah. So so you've already, like I said, I think there's multiple gates into your castle, and there's a ton. You probably got an entire parking lot full of Trojan horses because you just opened it all up. And then you turned around and decided to jump up on a parapet and go naked and yell out loud and share with everybody. Again, that all the other stuff is out of your control, but it is actually within your control. But the point is, if you're going to have the device, that part's out of your control. They control the device, not you. So the only way you can do it is put it in a Mylar bag, or turn it off on, if you could get to the battery and take it out, you can't. But anyway, and you stick it in a Mylar bag or put it in a Faraday cage. It's the only way you're going to go dark. You can't use it. So if you want to use it, you have to take it out of the bag. You have to take it out of the cage. Well, so you've made a choice. And I agree with you. That's why I was like, yeah, you already gave it up. So now you choose to share.
And as you say, the government is not the problem. CEOs should have said no. What happening in the UK, where people go on social media and share, they could have said no. Apple
Yeah,
could
but
have
I don't
said
think.
no to open their servers and their data center. All of the tech
Yes.
industry could have said, listen, we don't want that. It's over. They could have gone out of the
Sure.
market.
Yes, sure. But I'm arguing with you in a different way on the argumentative point. What I'm saying
Keep
is your
arguing.
choice to share it. It was your choice to
Keep
share it.
arguing. Oh,
Yeah. So
yes.
if you choose to share, you own it. Like that was your choice to take a picture of your dinner plate and send that to everybody on Facebook. Like, I don't want to look at it. So I deleted my Facebook account 3 years ago. I was done. Like, I have one connection that I would talk to on my Facebook account, and it's a cousin I have in England. And I would be teasing him Premier League. I'm teasing him. You got to choose blue or red, right? And so he and I are opposite color. But anyway, I mean, I would just tease him if we won. I would always tease him, and then if he wins, he would tease me. That's camaraderie. That's kid stuff, right? That's sharing, open sharing. You could have people that would be very upset because you're the opposite color. Give me a break. But anyway, that happens, and then they get on your channel and they start yelling. Like, hey, this is like my chat with my cousin, and then you're realizing, no, it's not. It's in the open. What am I thinking? It's in the open. So it's how deep you want to realize the layering that you've given up is the key. And if I could give you something to prevent a certain amount of the layering from being out there and accessible, then it's your choice the minute you decided to share said thing, whether it's a picture or a file or a music or whatever. It's up to you. I'm playing music. I want to share that particular sound with my daughters. I take from inside of Apple Music, iTunes. I actually go in, grab the link that says share song, and I just text them the link. I mean, I know they already have it in their playlist, but this is what I was hearing. I don't have that thing streaming all the time saying what's the next song I'm listening to, and what's are all the songs I listen to, and what are all of the songs coming up. No, I don't share that. What I'm saying is that one song, I really liked it, so I shared it with them and said, I'm sure it's in their list if they want to watch it, or listen to it. But that's a choice, and that's why I was using the word convenience. If you think it's convenient or you're going to share, you're kind of done thinking there's anything called privacy. So you can't yell at the government. Screaming at the government's the wrong way to go. It's your own damn fault, meaning it's your own fault as a user for not paying attention to, not thinking, because you don't watch enough sci-fi. They're going to get in anyway. So just don't be an idiot. And I know that's, most people aren't going to agree with me, or they're going to get mad at me. We're going to get a lot of comments, but I don't really care. It's your choice. And I'm not saying you shouldn't share. Just know what you're doing.
I hope we're still in a freedom world where everybody can
we never were. My point is we never were. The minute you created an open system, the minute I took that 300 baud modem and connected to the internet from my apartment back to my office, and all I had was a 300 baud modem because I needed to upload a file into the test network to test it is what I was doing. But anyway, the minute I did that, my house was open. The minute I picked up the handset on my old school POTS line phone, copper phone, nobody has those anymore. But the minute you picked up the little receiver, the handset for your princess phone, and push because you didn't want to. Now you want the push buttons, and then you get push button. That's the start of hardware going to hell in a handbasket. Because anybody that had to use an old phone and put their finger inside the 3 and then turned it and then let it go knows what happened after that point. After that, it was all hell broke loose. Anyway, so when you think about it, it's how much you want to look or peer into what it is you're doing as a person. And I don't want to impose anything on anyone. I'm just saying, if you do pay attention, and if you want to argue that government shouldn't be doing it, sure, I could say that's true, but I already gave up all my shit when I joined the Air Force. Like sorry, I already knew what I was doing. My choice. I signed on the dotted line. I did not have to join the Air Force. I did not have to go into inertial navigation systems and Doppler nav, Doppler nav systems. I didn't have to do that. I chose that.
Yeah, I agree. The consumer is the power. If tomorrow the consumer stop using the cloud, stop putting everything, sharing, and so on and so on, those things won't happen. into it.
My point is,
Proton-
I'm saying the government is the layer that was already there anyway. You just may not have
it's always
known
been
it.
since
Now
even
it's just
the First and
obvious.
Second World War. It has always been.
Yeah. Now it's just obvious. So the
because
more
it's more
technology
easy.
you gave someone, yes.
It's more easy because now you have data center and they protect the data center because data sovereignty, and then corporates say, oh, we want protection of the government. Yeah, well, now you want a protection of the government, and why don't you do your business where you are a consumer, you have your own company, it's your work to do it. You don't have to. We always try to say that it's society's fault, it's the government's fault. We always push it into that. All our society, it's ruled by human people. In one moment, people need to cut the wire and say, okay, as you say, I am in control of what I put, what I share, what I use, and how I do it. But when we see that Proton is saying, oh, goodbye, Switzerland, and Switzerland's like, we're going to Luxembourg. Shh. Those action for those company, this is how you rechange it. It's the same thing. It has a comparison, with the car industry, when they say, oh, in 2035 no more fuel, no more jet engine, everything electronic. Well, they were saying that 10 years ago, and now they're getting back. Why? Because car manufacturing say, hey, it will not happen anymore. We're just going back to 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 cylinder. The electric, it will come, but not now. We still have to get through. Here's the same aspect. We consumers, and each one in their own, we need to take action to protect ourselves, not always going up and sharing everything into everywhere.
Well, and if you ever want to be able to drive, if anything ever happens and there's an EMP somewhere and you want to be able to drive, you better have a car that's from the 60s or 70s, because everything has electronics in it now. So the minute they flash off an EMP, you're screwed because your car won't start. Even with one that's driven on regular petrol, regular gasoline, you're stuck. You're so screwed because your car won't start. Why? Because it's tapped into your radio, which means your radio's tapped into your phone, because now you want to make a phone call because you want the convenience of hands-free, because you're going to get a ticket if you don't do hands-free. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you better have, or just get a bicycle at this point. It's like you can pedal. I mean, it's like, we're going to get a horse. Buy a horse and a bicycle. You should be fine. No, I'm not talking about being a Luddite. I always kid around saying I'm a Luddite in a high-tech world. I am more of a Luddite than the rest of them. But you have to think it through. Sci-fi shows a lot to you about what could be coming. And if you're not prepared, I had a POTS line on my house for the longest time until my stupid internet provider said, we're not going to give you the faster speed until you get rid of the POTS line. I'm like, you suck. This POTS line has nothing to do with you. It's on a piece of copper wire going back to the CO. No, they wanted to rip out all those switches and put them all digital. I'm like, well, you suck. That's your choice. Like, not mine. I wanted the POTS line in case anything happened. I still have an regular old school telephone, so I can still make a call. But you know what I mean? That's what it is. Well, I have an FCC license, so I can use my ham radio if I really wanted to talk to somebody. But the point is that it's what you choose to do, and that.
Oh yeah, and I agree. I'm like you. I like all copper wire with the rounded one, 1, 2, 3. And remember when electricity was shut down, you could still take a phone call. Now we can't.
Mm-hmm.
When no more you have a shutdown of electricity, 1, you can have access to your data. 2, all your data into your cloud and system is dead. 3, you have a phone, but if the antenna it's cut off, electricity is dead. The wire phone long time ago, for those who didn't know, you could cut the electricity and keep going phone.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a difference between iPhones and Android, sort of, only because Apple's decided that everything has to go on Wi-Fi. So you take a phone call, it's a Wi-Fi call. And my Samsung did it too. I don't know, you idiots. Just use the data line. But anyway, to a tower. Towers, at least in the US, all towers have backup power. They're supposed to stay up because they're used by police, fire, and everyone else. Right? That's why government needs that access. So those are never going down. Your access to it may get limited. But if you have power, so if you have a generator, you can still do it. Like I can actually take my phone and my pack and I still have power. So as long as my phone has power, I can still contact the tower. Now, depending on what they're going to let me do, I will probably still get away with being able to send a text message because it's just digits, right? It's simple. It's text. That'll get through and it won't tie up their network so bad. Letting me stream video while the power's out? No, they're not going to let me stream. Hell no. That they need that data for fire department, police department. They're going to trap that data. If we have a power outage for any reason, that's priority. They always get priority. It's priority 0. The rest of us streaming, what are you, an idiot?
Should be
I'll
like
let you
this.
maybe make a phone call. Maybe you can make a phone call, but that's only if you're using the data line. If you're using Wi-Fi, you're screwed because unless you got your router plugged into your backup power, you're toast. It's not going to happen. Well, you still have the modem. So you've got your Wi-Fi router, then you got your modem, and then you have the central. Well, that's going to have power because it's got to, help police and fire still communicate. But just take it down to the root, right? Just think of all of the layers that are involved for you to make a phone call or send a text message or stream a video, like what we're doing right now. If we lost power, we'd be screwed. This would be offline. So
we'll take a phone.
We need backup power. So why else do I keep this? I always recharge this. So I know at least I have power if I really need it. Because if my daughters are still able to, they're down in Southern California and they still have power. We don't have power up here. At least I can still reach out or they can reach out to me because my phone will have power. But
or you have a wheel where you have an hamster or a rat running, and then you have a dynamo at the back, and then you generate electricity.
Yeah, there's no way Josie's going to power that. She's going to go like 1 minute in the wheel and then sit down and go, screw you guys. I'm not walking on this. That's our dog, just so everybody knows. She's like, forget this. I'm going to go lay down over there. And, where's my treat anyway? That's what I'm going to be stuck with.
So for people to know, Josie, it's Steve. It's a whippet.
She's a whippet. Yeah, English whippet.
Yeah.
Mind of her own.
People, she's quick. Very quick. She's
a short amount of time. For a very short amount of time. The whippet will beat a greyhound off the line. It's the fastest dog for a very short amount of time. And then at some point, the nice part about your greyhound is it has another gear. Greyhounds will keep going. Like they have the stamina. I always think of it this way. The whippet looks around and goes, why am I doing this? And it uses its brain and says, screw this. And it just stops, and if there's no fake rabbit in front of it, it's not doing anything. It's like, I'm done running. Like, I don't know what this is all about, but it's not fun for me anymore. Greyhounds are like, keep running. It's just like, no, stop running. Keep running. Like, no. Yeah, that's kind of the difference. But
so in our team, we have a few mascots.
Yeah,
Josie is one of Johnny. She's one of them. We have member of our team who has dogs and cats. So those are our little mascot, like Snoopy, or we have Garfield. We have
Animal Kingdom.
A few, yes. Well, this is we're gonna close our second podcast. Thanks, Steve, to be there. We hope everyone did like our second podcast. This one has been a bit more longer because it's more. We start to go to dive into it. And have a great day. Thank you, Steve, from San Francisco. I am Guillaume Jallery from Washington D.C. It's cool to say where we are. I should find the theme of Good Morning America. Good Morning Vietnam. Yeah.
Oh, Vietnam. Yep.
Oh, what a movie with
Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, let's see if I catch up some theme of it, and we can throw it on a podcast 3. Goodbye. Thank you. Have a great week and a great weekend to all. Bye.